That is actually a commandment of Yahuwah that in the 10th day of the 7th month you are to blow the shofar before Yahuwah. We'll be looking at that, man. This is Yom Kypurym. Before we start, we're going to do Yahuwah Palau. Would you like to lead it or want me to pray? It's up to you.
Abinu, Shabashamim, Yakadu Shamka, Tabama Yahshay, Rizumka, Bakaras, Kaasha, Nasha, Bashamim, Tanlanu, Tayun, Laham, Hapanu, Usalaklanu, Ashmatu, Kaasha, Salahim, Anaklu, La Asha, Ashmu, Lanu, Ual Tabi, Anu, Lidi, Masa, Kai, Hasi, Lanu, Manhara Kai Laka, Amam Laka, Uhagabura, Uhatapara, Laulami, All Lami.
Our Father, who lives in heaven, Kodesh be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. For yours is the kingdom and the power and the esteem forever. In the name of our names, YAHUWAH YAHUSHA. Amen. Today is Yom Kippurym, or in the English tongue, the Day of Atonement. We have atoned for our crimes. We have afflicted ourselves under the commandments of Yahuwah. We will be looking at what YAHUWAH or Leviticus 23 says about this day. And if you haven't seen the video, you can go on the Watchman Yahshay page on YouTube. Last year we taught on the origins of Yom Kippurym, about Azazel and Hanuk. Just look up Yom Kippurym on the Day of Atonement. You'll see that on the Watchman Yahshay page. You can watch that video from that point. And from that point, we're going this time to the Mashiach and what he did for us and what his blood did for us to atone for us. Because without the shedding of blood, there's no forgiveness of crimes. That's book. So blood had to be shed in order to forgive us of crimes. It had to be shed. And so now we trust in that blood. Everything that Yahuwah did in the form of the Mashiach was spiritual. Everything he did, even though he walked on earth physically, he did physically come to earth. You know, I always boast on that, and when I'm talking to atheists, even Albert Einstein said, if you don't believe that the Messiah existed and walked the earth, then you're a complete idiot. He said it's too much historical proof that there was a Messiah on earth. So this was even Albert Einstein, why they always screamed that he was an atheist or he didn't believe. He actually believed. They just want to cut those parts out. So we're going to show you what Yahuwah did. We're going to go to YAHUWAH or Leviticus 23 and 26. Now, hallelujah, for his feast in the 7th month. You know what I'm saying? This is amazing. It's like time flying by. We're in the 7th month of Yahuwah right now. And you see, based on scripts and based on understanding, you know, September should be the 7th month. You get what I'm saying? But it's the 9th month in their minds. It's 7. And in Yahuwah, we're in the 7th month because we started in our beings, which is spring. It's right there, you know what I'm saying, in our faces. They're obvious. But you know, it's just digging in the scripts and searching those scripts, man. Barak Yahuwah for his truth. Hallelujah. Here's 26. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe. It's 23 and 26. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, also, on the 10th day of the 7th month is Yom Kippurym, or the Day of Atonement. It shall be as a Kadash assembly unto you. Now, when you see Kippurym, that's actually where we get the word pure from. You know, you hear the Jews talk about Purim or Purim. And Yom Kippurym is actually like to purify something, to cleanse and make atone for. So it's actually where we get the English word pure. A lot of our English words derive from the Abri. So it says, it shall be a Kadash assembly unto you. You shall afflict out your souls and offer an offering made by fire unto Yahuwah. And you shall do no work in that same day. If y'all see me laughing, man, we got y'all in the house, man. This guy's crazy. So anytime I'm laughing at y'all, man, this man crazy. For it is Yum Kypurym, to make an atonement for you before YAHUAH YAHUSHA. That means their Elohim that come at the end of Alahai. It means they must make an atonement for their Elohim. So that's all the people must do this, not just the priests. Because a lot of people, sometimes people teach that only the priests got the instructions in Yahweh 16 that it was only for them. No, everybody in the house of Yahshua must make an atonement for themselves. You must atone for your crimes. And it's once a year. We're going to get into this about the Mashiach. For whatsoever soul it be that shall not be afflicted, that's past tense. That's why we zoomed or went in on our Zoom or fast on the 9th day at evening to evening, because you have to afflict. You already have to be in the mode of affliction when you come before Yahuwah. If you have not afflicted in that same day, he shall be cut off from among his people. And whosoever soul it be that does any work in that same day, that same soul will I destroy from among his people. You shall do no manner of work. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations in all your dwellings. Forever. Man. It shall be unto you a Shabbat of rest, and you shall afflict out your souls in the 9th day of the month at evening. From evening to evening, shall you celebrate your Shabbat. Now I want to break this piece down real quick, and then I want to look at Yeshayahu 58 to show you that afflict does mean, in order to, the best way to humble yourself is a fast. Because that word afflict in the Abra is anah. Anah literally means to humble oneself, to bring oneself to subjection or to bow down. So anah in the Abra, the best way to anah is to zoom or to fast. It's amazing that zoom means fast. That's amazing that how that plays out. But it says, we're going to read 32 again. It shall be unto you a Shabbat of rest, and you shall afflict your souls. When you see that colon right there, now he's finna tell you how you should afflict your souls. You know what I'm saying? This is how they translate it to the English. In the 9th day, or Yom Tashah, that means day 9 of the month at evening, or Arab, from Arab unto Arab, or evening unto evening, shall you celebrate your Shabbat. So after you've afflicted yourself on that 9th day, the 10th day is atonement, you shall rest after that. After you've afflicted your being, you shall rest. So let's look at this right here in Yeshayahu 58 real quick, and then I'm going to Mashiach to show you that affliction does mean a fast. And in the word context, it's used as such, an affliction, because I've heard people in different ministries say that when he says afflict yourself, it's not a fast. But we have to go precept upon precept then. This is Yeshayahu or Isaiah 58 and 1. And it's funny how he starts this too. Because what we just do, we blow the shofar. And we're going to look at 25 and 9 as well when we go back to Uyakra, but I want to show you this. Huh? Yeah. Cry loud, spare not, lift up your voice like a shofar. What did we just do? And we blew them and show my people their transgression. Why? Why are we showing people our transgressions? Because in order for you to ask for forgiveness of them, you must know them. In the house of Yaakov, their crimes, yet they seek me daily, and delight to know my ways, as a nation that did righteousness, and forsook not the ordinances of our Elohim. They seeking me every day like they ain't broke my Torah. They keep on saying they the people.
Strong delusion.
Yeah, they seeking me hard like they ain't breaking my commandments. And forsook not the ordinances of their Elohim. They ask me the ordinances of justice. They take delight in approaching to Elohim. Wherefore have we fasted, they say, and you did not see. Wherefore have we afflicted our soul. See how it comes right in that text with fasting? Watch this. And you take no knowledge. Behold, in the day of your fast you find pleasure, and exact all your labors. Behold, you fast for strife and debate, to smite with the fist of wickedness. You shall not fast as you do this day, to make your voice to be heard on high. Is it such a fast that I have chosen? A day for a man to afflict his soul? So see, in context, like I read in YAHUAH, fast and affliction go hand in hand. Right. Because fasting humbles yourself. Right. You get what I'm saying? To say, I'm not going to eat food, is telling your flesh you ain't all that. Mm-hmm. There's somebody greater than you. You get what I'm saying? Back when I was a Christian, man, I used to read Jensen Franklin books, man. He had great books on fasting. Because he said in order to beat King's stomach, you got to let King's stomach know there's a greater king. That was great advice. Whether it's Christianity or not, that's still great advice. In order to fast, you got to let your stomach know there's a greater king. And so, man, that's a great advice anytime. Because fasting brings you to the place to hear from Yahuwah anyway. So as we pass through Christianity, I believe a lot of reasons why we were able to hear him and come into the truth of being a Nazarene or being Abra Yashalim, we came to humble ourselves. Because in order to seek him, you must humble yourself. And what's the best way to humble yourself? A fast. And this is what Yahuwah is telling them. It says, listen how he tells you to fast though. Is this a fast that I've chosen? This is 5. A day for a man to afflict the soul. It is to bow down his head like a bulrush. I told you, anah means to bow down. To really humble yourself or to crouch yourself down. To break yourself down. And to spread sackcloth and ashes under him. And remember that in the book of Yonah, or who they call Jonah. When the people heard Yonah walk into the city. And he walked all the way a day and a half journey into the city. And he said, in 40 days, the city going to be overthrown. They didn't ask him why. Who told you this? They knew it was from Yahuwah. They knew it was. He didn't want to go to these wicked people. They were Abra. They were sons of Ashur. They're the ones that bit Nineveh. These were the sons of Shem. These wasn't like Babylonians or anything. Nineveh actually came from Shem's son. So blood couldn't save them. Bloodline couldn't save them. They needed to humble themselves. So what did the king say? When he heard the words, he said, I want everything in sackcloth and ashes. I want everything sackcloth up, from the child that sucks the breast, a suckling, to the cows, the cattle in the field. I want everything covered. And Yahuwah heard that. Why? Because they all took the time to anah, to humble themselves. And Yahuwah is compassionate. If you humble yourself before Yahuwah, Apostle Paul, who they call Apostle Paul, Apostle Shaul, said, if you judge yourself, you yourself will not be judged. Man, that's a key thing right there that we missing. If you judge yourself, you yourself will not be judged. So in order to come to Yahuwah, you must humble yourself. So when he's saying the sackcloth, I don't know if you ever put it on. I call it potato sack. Old people call it, grandmama and them call it potato sacks. I went and got one made from the store. They said, oh, you mean a potato sack? I said, I need something. It's burlap, actually. That's the actual word for it, a burlap sack. It does not feel good against your skin. It's not no smooth cotton feeling. You know what I'm saying? So, according to spiritual things, Yahuwah is saying that in order to really humble yourself, you must agitate that flesh. That flesh must be agitated. So a fast agitates that flesh. It afflicts your soul. Because see, when we see soul, that is the English word for what it should be related as napash. It means being. You're your being right here. That's why on the Titanic, when they begin to sink, they put out SOS. People don't ever pay attention to what SOS means. SOS, when they were sinking, they said, save our souls. Because your being is your soul. Your whole makeup, how you move, how you think and everything, that is your napash. That is your being. You are a human being. You get what I'm saying? And so when you afflict your soul, you are afflicting your being by not eating. When you put on sackcloth, you are putting something to agitate your skin in that sackcloth. When you put on ashes, ashes feel like that. Ain't that something? Man, I don't know if you remember the story of Ayub, or who they call Job. When he had the boils on his skin, he had ashes on him. You know, ashes as well, man. He was in very bad discomfort. That man was in a bad situation. And what did Hashatan say? If I touch his body, he would definitely curse you then. If I touch his body, he gonna turn away from you. Because what most people want to do, preserve that body. Self-preservation is like the biggest thing that we fight other than Hashatan himself. We want to preserve our own body. So Yahuwah says right here, is this the fast that he's chosen? He says that you put yourself in sackcloth and ashes under him. Will you call this a fast and an acceptable day to Yahuwah? Man, is it not this fast that I have chosen to loose the bands of wickedness, to undo heavy burdens, and to let oppressed go free, that you break every yoke? In this time of atonement, there's yokes that have to be broke off us to evaluate ourselves. He said every yoke. He didn't say one or two. It's possible to break every yoke off of you, man. Hallelujah, Yahuwah, man.
Hallelujah.
Is this not the fast that I've chosen? Is it not to deal, this is 7, is it not to deal your bread to the hungry? So while you're fasting, look for the homeless to feed, the hungry to feed. Man. And to bring the poor that are cast out into your house, when you see the naked, to cover him, that you hide not yourself from your own flesh. Do you hear that? That you hide not yourself, to let your flesh know I'm in subjection to Yahuwah. That's the fast. And I was showing you that it's to break off things off of you when you zoom. 8 says, your light, then shall your light break forth as the bukar, or the morning, and your health shall spring forth speedily. People will tell you in order to get your health to spring forth, it's people that's been coming to me telling them that doctors have given them intermediate fasts, they call them. 3-day, 2-day fast that will bring healing to their body almost instantly. Now, Yahuwah knew this. Why? Because he made you. But people are saying, you know, in order to get healing now, in a minute, come on, man. Doctors are only trying to catch up with what Yahuwah is. The great physician already knows.
I heard, not just a couple of days ago, I saw something that came through one of those health pages, something on Facebook. It said a 72-hour fast can wipe out and begin to restore your body. 72 hours.
Yeah, it rids you of addictions and all kind of things. Because it says your health shall spring forth speedily. This is book. And your righteousness, well, this is the key thing right here. And your righteousness shall go before you. The kabod of Yahuwah shall be your back guard or rear guard. As my Greg, you know, he'll get you. Let Yahuwah be your rear guard, Aki. Shalom, shalom. That's where you get this, that rear guard. He guarding your back while you walking forward. We don't know what's behind us, after us. But because of this, the kabod, the power, the esteem of Yahuwah shall guard you in the rear. Boy, boy, boy. Man, it's good stuff right here. Then shall you call, and Yahuwah shall answer. Then, see? Following these things on atonement, this is the perfect time to ask Yahuwah for what you need in your life. By all these things in my name, I shall do them. But what did he say before that? If you love me, guard my commandments. How can you ask him something and ain't keeping his feast? The very things that's supposed to bring healing to your body. The affliction is just to get you to the place to humble yourself enough to ask him. No man walked before a king back then, just bowled up to the throne like that and just stood there. Hey, this is what I want. Even in man's terms, they knew to come a certain way to the kings of the earth. How much more for Yahuwah? Man, hallelujah. Yahuwah. And it says, then shall you call, and Yahuwah shall answer. You shall cry, and he shall say, here I am. If you take away from the midst of you the yoke, by putting forth of the finger. Is that not pointing fingers?
Ooh-wee.
I don't know what else putting forth of the finger would be. Right. What pointing fingers? And speaking vanity, and if you draw out your being to the hungry and satisfy the afflicted soul, then shall your light rise in obscurity and your darkness be as the noonday. Remember in the curses, Your noonday was as darkness unto you.
Wow.
So the curse was reversed. That your darkness be as the noonday. Man, it's some good stuff, man. Watch this though. And Yahuwah shall guide you continually. I gotta sit down, man. If not, I'm gonna run up out of here. I'm gonna sit down a little bit. I don't know if you can see me over there, but all right, two. Listen to this. And Yahuwah shall guide you continually. You don't have to answer. You don't have to say, man, I wonder if he heard me. I wonder if I'm pleasing to Yahuwah. Once you've done these things, it says he'll guide you continually. Man, I'm breaking this down because when we get to Yahusha, man, I'm telling you, this is right here is what he's talking about. Because he said, when I was hungry, did you not feed me? When I was naked, did you not clothe me? Because this book is telling you, he's giving you the keys right here. The keys. Man. And shall satisfy your being in drought, and make fat your bones. And you shall be like watered gardens, and like a spring of water whose waters fail not. Isn't that not Tehillim or Psalms 1? Yeah. Baruch is the man who walks not in the counsel of the unrighteous, nor standeth in the way of criminals, or sit in the seat of scornful, but his delight is the Torah of Yahuwah, and he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, and he shall bring forth fruit in his season. But the wicked are not so, because they are like chaff. Cut down what at the book? Huh? So he brings us right back to Torah. As watered gardens, man, this is good stuff. So after you've afflicted yourself and humbled yourself, you become full of the Torah again. It's like all the curses have been reversed to you. But see, we didn't know to keep these feasts up. We had no idea that these feasts would do all this. Because they got us doing Christmas, Halloween coming up, man, they buying gourds like a mug.
Oh, they're gonna change
pumpkins and fall festivals and fall feasts and hallelujah night, trunk or treat, but no Torah. Oh, you ain't got to do all that no more.
But we gotta do all
the
that.
Messiah is a shadow. I told a lady the other day, I said, we keep Sukkot. She said, I've never heard of that. I said, it's a Feast of Tabernacles. I said, what we do is we keep the feast because I said it's a rehearsal of when he comes. I said, don't you rehearse for your marriage ceremony? When you have your daughters in rehearsal in order to know how the ceremony is to go? She said, I've never thought of it like that. I said, so these are rehearsals so that when he comes, we can feast at the marriage feast. This is marriage rehearsal. I said, look at that guy right there. There's a man standing there. I said, they say the Messiah is a shadow of these things to come. I said, but the shadow leads you to the person. I said, don't you see a shadow right there? This is how I talk to the Goyim in the bun. That way they can understand that I'm not just at them, oh, you old dirty Esau. You get what I'm saying? I want them to understand that what Mashiach did, he did it for all nations. He's the light to the Goyim. So in order for me to bring them in, they got to understand what we do this for. Man, I boast on these feasts when they come back. I boast on these feasts like they talking about when they over there shopping for their little skeletons and stuff. I'm boasting on Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. This is the time that we should celebrate, man. And they that shall be of you shall build the old waste places, and you shall raise up the foundations of many generations. What's on our backs to do? Everything that's been lost, man, we finna build it back again. Man. And you shall be called repairer of the breach, the restorer of the paths to dwell in. Man.
Whoa. The restorer of the paths to dwell in.
Boy, I'm going to get me a cake made with that on the back of that boy.
He's supposed to be bringing back the ancient ways.
Ain't that something? Because he said, ask for the ancient paths, Yom 16 and 6. It says, ask for the ancient paths. But you have told me you will not walk in them.
Wow.
They had told me they wouldn't walk in them. So when you're doing this, now you are the repairer. You're gonna restore those paths that people didn't want to walk in. So when the Goyim coming from all nations saying, surely we have inherited lies and falsehoods and things that have not profited, who's he going to point them to? Those who have now left the lies and falsehoods and walking in the Torah of Yahuwah. Huh? They shall take hold of the zit of a Yahudi man and say, teach us the ways of Yahuwah. We will follow you. Man, I got to show the zit. I got to show you the zit. But man, this is real stuff, man. I see it every day, man. When I'm talking to whether black or white, sadly, black people ain't as receptive as the Goyim Laban, the white national. Because when they hear it, they're like, man, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense, man. They always ask me, what are those things that you got on you? And we able to share about the zits that we have, because it's not to lust after your own eyes and to follow the commandments of Yahuwah and believe that he's one. They don't argue, oh, that's not the name. JC's the name, baby. I don't hear that from a boy in Laban. I don't. But black person, I'm just going to stick with my JC. He going to have to lead me.
I'm Baptist.
Boy. Baptist can't tell her nothing. That's just what you say.
That's it. Matter of fact, I went to this lady. Yahuwah put a lady on my mind in the winter. When he showed it to me, a whole house and beside the house was on fire. It was completely on fire. I said, I got to go up here to this lady. She rushed me off. I gave her foundation of faith. She said, it's cold. So I gave it to her. She listened to what I had to say just a little bit. But anyway, so I went up there maybe a week or two ago. And this time I gave her a recall. I gave her a quick recap of me coming back, going to a house in the wintertime. And she vaguely remembered, but she listened to me when I said YAHUWAH YAHUSHA. She said, let me stop you right there. I'm Baptist. She said, I like your afro, and it was walking off. She said, and you have a nice life. That's what she told me.
Wow. And let me tell you the difference of that. I'm glad you brought that up. The woman who I just told you about, that I said that's a shadow, the Mashiach's shadow. She said, I am Baptist. She said, I'm Baptist. I go to the church over there. She said, but what you're saying, I've never heard before, and I've never heard it put that way. She didn't cast me off. She stood there and talked. She didn't rush me off or anything. She said, I've never heard it put this way for keeping his feasts and commandments. Wow. So it's a dangerous situation in the state of the black church.
It was a man.
It's a brainwashing that happened.
It was a man around her. That's when I told you when he said evil. The man was holding up a little girl. And then I was looking at the picture, and I heard his voice say evil. He was showing me the man holding the little girl up. And I told her all this, and she didn't consider it, she didn't take it, she just told me, what she told me, have a nice life.
As long as they got King JC, they don't need nobody else. Wow. That's something we're gonna have to be praying for. During these times of affliction and fast, we're gonna have to be praying for our people. Because that's what Daniel did. That's what Yirmiyahu did. That's what Yeshayahu did. They prayed for their people. So we can't just fuss about these people and not pray for them. You know what I'm saying? We can't just say, man, that's what's going on, because that's the strong delusion we were in too. Right. So we can't just leave and then just leave them completely. And so in order to be the restorer of the past, you must go and restore what was torn down, right? So in order to restore them things, look at Nehemiah and them. When they were building on the wall, they were doing the work and telling the people.
They had a mind to work.
Come on. And we got to be the same way. That outreach and stuff, we just got to be ready to intercede for these people and pray for these people. Because that's how Yahusha was. It said he was moved with compassion because they were like sheep without a shepherd. Wow. That's book. Yeah. He didn't say, oh man, these people dumb, bro. I ain't got no time for them. Right. I'm so glad I ain't with them no more. Right. He was moved with compassion because they were like sheep without a shepherd. And we have to be moved with compassion. Now, that's how I'm trying to see it. Yahuwah is working on me to see it like that. Whether Goyim Laban, white national, or Goyim Kadar, black national, I'm trying to actually talk to them in a way to understand that I was once like that. And the Mashiach came for me too. And he came to save me. So if he was moved with compassion to cast out their devils, to feed them when they were hungry, he was moved by compassion. We have to be compassionate towards them. And we have to talk to them like sheep without a shepherd. Because just because that pastor sitting up there, he's not a shepherd. Yahusha said he's a hireling. And a hireling don't defend the sheep. It says he runs off in the time of trouble. Yahusha said that. So they have no shepherd. So I don't say, well, get with your pastor and let your pastor call me and I'm going to tell him all this. No, I'm going to tell you this now when we standing here and give you the Torah of Yahuwah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. 13, and then we finish up into this thing. If you turn away your foot from the Shabbat, from doing your own pleasure on my Kadash day, and call the Shabbat a delight. Man, I love the Shabbat, bro. I love it. Man, it's a baraka, man. The Kadash of Yahuwah, honorable, and shall honor him, not doing your own ways, or finding your own pleasure, or speaking your own words. Then shall you delight yourself in Yahuwah, and I will cause you to ride upon the high places of Haaretz, of the earth, not heaven. Look at what that promotion just happened. We're getting promoted by keeping the Shabbat. He didn't say I call to ride on the high places of the Shemayim. He said on Haaretz, the earth. You're going to, come on now. Remember, Kippur told Yahusha, he said, we left all to follow you. He said, but you'll get 100-fold in this life, right here, for being obedient. I tell people, man, look at that story. Before he took them to do the work, watch this. He said, have you guys caught any fish? He said, no, we ain't caught anything. He said, cast on this side, cast on that side. It said they pulled up so many fish that they were about to sink. Now, if they were fishermen, what did they do with those fish before they followed him? They sold them. He gave them money. That's why he said, how hard is it for a rich man to make it into Shemayim? They became disturbed by it. Read it. They became bothered. They had money. Who can make it in? He said, but with Yah, all things are possible. He gave them the increase when they followed him. That ain't adding to the Torah. You've made him that broke-looking, Bobice-looking guy that looked raggedy walking down the street.
And confirmation is that there were times where he told them to go and buy. He went to, as a matter of fact, if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, he went and told them to buy for a bunch of people.
That's right.
Not just like a few folks.
That's right.
So they had money.
They had money. And when you understand that right here, you shall ride on the high places of the earth. And watch this, and feed you with the heritage of Yaakov, your father. He gonna feed you with the heritage of Yaakov. Yaakov was a man of increase. That's why Laban wanted to keep him with him. Read the story. He was bringing barakah into his life, or what we call blessings in the English term, but it's exaltation. He was bringing barakah to him. He didn't want him to leave. That's the reason why he didn't want him to leave. I see increase in my life right now with being with this guy. So Yahuwah says he's going to feed you with the heritage of Yaakov. For the mouth of Yahuwah has spoken it. That's how it ends. Wow. So, let's go here real quick. YAHUAH 25 and 9. I'm going to read this and then I'll jump to Mashiach.
What's the
Leviticus. Salahi. 25 and 9. Stay on me about that, man. I love that tongue. I just want you to hear this right here. 25 and 9. Then you shall cause the shofar of the Jubilee to sound on the 10th day of the 7th month. In Yom Kippurym, you shall make the shofar sound throughout all your land. Blow that shofar. We got to do that. Man, I just wanted to read that, man. When I seen that, I said, man, that's some good stuff, man. All right, so now we can jump to Abarim or Hebrews. And we'll start at, I'm trying to see what I had, man. There's so much good. I was trying to skip around because I've been read this whole book. Abarim is good, man. Hebrews is good. I want to start at 4. And I'm gonna try to read these. Start at 4, man. I want y'all, because like I said, the other video is on the page, Watchman Yahusha page. It breaks down how Azazel was when they said scapegoat. That's who it was in the book of Hanuk. I broke down that part, but now I want to break down the Mashiach because I did not have the time on that teaching to break down why the Mashiach is the atonement for us and why his blood is what it is. This is awesome, man. This is my part, man. That's why I had to sit down, because y'all weren't going to see me in this camera. 4 and 12, man. I started at 12, but the whole thing is just too... I want to start at 1. I'm sorry. I want to start at 1. Because I'm trying to think, this thing is 2, man. Let us therefore fear, lest a promise be left to us of entering his rest. That means Shabbat is there, right? Watch this. Any of you should come short of it. This is a Shabbat now in the feast. This Day of Atonement is as a Shabbat. Where did he remove this at? That's what I want to know. For unto us was this gospel preached. They say gospel is Basora, the good news. For unto us, pay attention to this, was the Basora preached as well unto them. Who is them? He's talking about the people in the wilderness, and we're going to show you that in a minute. But the word preached did not profit them, not being mixed with belief in them that heard it. So the Besorah wasn't, he died, he rose, he ascended. The Besorah was keep the feast and obey, and I shall let you eat the good of the land. So the Besorah is obedience. You see that? Because it was preached to them, but they didn't believe. Watch this. For we which have believed do enter into rest, as he said. So that means we who believe have already got this rest. I want y'all to pay attention to this, for when we get to 8, it's going to blow people's mind, because when they reading it in the King James, they think it's JC, but it's not. So watch this. As I said, I've sworn in my wrath, if they shall enter into my rest, although the works were finished from the foundation of the world. It was already done since the foundation of the world. For he spoke in a certain place of the 7th day on this wise. Now they're talking about the Shabbat in Hebrews, by the way. This New Testament, they call it. And Yahuwah did rest on the 7th day from all his works. And in this place again, if they shall enter into my rest, seeing therefore it remains, some must enter therein, and they whom it was first preached entered in not because of unbelief. That was the people wandering in the wilderness for 40 years. Again, he limits a certain day, saying in Dawood, today, after a long time, as he has said, today, if you hear his voice, harden not your hearts. Watch this. King James says this, and I'm going to say it for your understanding. For if Jesus had given them rest, then he would have not afterwards spoken of another day. Wrong. This is what it actually says. For if Yahusha, the son of Nun, or in some texts, because they get it right, if Joshua had given them rest. Because it's talking about those wandering in the wilderness. But they are so busy in taking out the name of Yahusha. Oops. They took out the wrong name and they made it J-E-S-U-S. They paganized this name. So it's supposed to be Yahusha, the son of Nun.
But they really told themselves.
Right. They told on themselves. That's how I give it to people. Look at Hebrews 4:8, and you will see a mistake in there, and I want you to tell me what it should be. So look at that. If Yahusha, the son of Nun, had given them rest, because they didn't get the rest, why? Because they disobeyed in the wilderness. He was supposed to bring them to the promised land, but they missed it, so 20 and under went in. We see this story. They wouldn't have spoken of another day. There remains therefore a rest for the people of Yah. He that has entered into his rest has also ceased from his own works, as Yahuwah did from his. Look at that, man. Let us labor therefore to enter in the rest, that if any man fall after the same example of unbelief. Here we go. For the word of Yahuwah is living and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing even to the dividing asunder of soul or being and root, spirit, and the joints and marrows, and is a discerner of the thoughts and intents of the heart. The word. Neither is there any creature that is not manifest in his sight. Wait. They say his. The word of Yahuwah is a person. It's Yahusha. You see that? He's living and powerful. They trying to tell you what's going to happen right now, that the word became flesh and dwelt among us. They knew that the word of Yahuwah became a man. Pay attention. It's good stuff. I'm trying to calm down. Neither is there any creature that is not manifest in his sight, but all things are naked and open to the eyes of him whom we have to give an account. To his eyes. Remember, Adam and Hawa ate the fruit. And he said, why do you hide from me? They said, we heard your voice. We heard you. And we hid. He said, who told you were naked? They had to give an account. He seen them. Man, it's the same word. Because they said the voice of Yahuwah walked in the cool of the day. Same person. So here we go. Seeing then that we have a great high priest that is passed in the Shemayim, Yahusha, the son of Elohim, let us hold fast our profession. For we have not a high priest which cannot be touched with the feeling of our infirmities. That means he's compassionate towards us. That's what that is saying. Man. But in all points were tempted as like we are, yet without crime. Let us therefore come boldly to the throne of mercy, or Hasad, or favor, or Hanan, that we may obtain mercy and find Hasad to help in the time of need. For every high priest taken among men is ordained for men in these things pertaining to Yahuwah, that he may offer both gifts and sacrifices for crimes, who have compassion on the ignorant. Look at that. What were we before we came into this? Ignorant. So by his mercy and compassion, we came into this. And even not by us, because he promised Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov, because they were righteous, that he was going to save their seed. Man, we cannot take this for granted. On them that are out of the way, look at that. For he himself is compassed with infirmity. He became human to understand humans. This is beautiful. And by reason hereof, he ought, as for the people, so also for himself to offer crimes. And this is talking about a regular high priest right here in the operation. And no man takes this honor unto himself, but he that is called of Yahuwah, as was Aharon. He's talking about the priesthood. So also Hamashiach esteemed not himself to be made an high priest, but that say unto him, you are my son. Today I have begotten you. So watch this. So Yahuwah didn't make him a high priest in the sense of earthly high priest. I'm going to make you a son for a greater mediator for the people. You're going to be a son to intercede for everybody wicked. I'm going to make you a son so you don't have to go to the house of Luim or the house of Levi. Man, bro. I'm trying to get this out. And it says, and he says also in another place, you are a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek, or the king of righteousness, who in the days of his flesh, when he had offered up prayers and supplication with strong cries and tears unto him, that was able to save him from death, and was heard in that he feared. That's the story of when he was at the Garden of Gethsemane, and he was down. He said, if this cup should pass from me, let it be so. But nevertheless, not my will, but your will be done. That's what he was saying. And that cup, if you read Revelations, is the cup of the whore. The cup of indignation of Yahuwah's wrath. He drunk Yahuwah's wrath for us. That's big business. And that's the reason why he even came and presented himself to ask Abba to remove it, because it was the cup of the whore. It was a cup of pure wrath. The gold cup that the whore sits with, he turned it up for us because we were deserving of that wrath. Man, if we don't be thankful for just that. Hallelujah. Go ahead, Doc.
I just thinking about the wrath. Just thinking about the wrath that he took on. I know it was a Christian movie and everything, but I liked how they tried to depict the suffering that he went through.
Right.
I can't remember the name of the movie.
Passion of Christ.
Yeah, I think that was it.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty gruesome.
Yeah, Passion was A1.
And I like that because he took wrath of Yahuwah, which is not just some little petty, you just gonna die.
Yeah.
Nah, he had to suffer and die.
He was in great agony. It says great agony fell upon him at that time, and he began to weep and cry out. Great agony.
And then he took it all, not just the physical part that he had to take, but you could, it's almost like you could see the distraughtness when he's asking him, why have you forsaken me? Mm-hmm. It wasn't just the physical, but it's like a complete turning away. That those who do not come into this covenant are going to have to drink themselves. If we refuse if we refuse what he already drunk for us.
Come on, man.
We have to take it ourselves.
You have to take that cup of that whore. You have to. And that's good word. And what people don't understand, that then you have to defend who is the suffering servant mentioned in Yahuwah Isaiah 53. Because that said, he said, I'm a worm and no man. He was nothing in that suffering servant, that he took all our infirmities. Not just infirmities in the flesh, but in the spirit world. All the things that you deal with, all those filthy ideas, them feelings that you get that are against Yahuwah, he drunk it for you. He took it to his mouth for you. Man, it makes me tear up because I'm like, I know how wicked I was. So in order to see me, he knew all things and say, you know what, I'm still going to do it. If it can pass from me in another way to be satisfied, let it be so. But nevertheless, Not my will, but yours be done. Powerful. Though he were yet a son, here we go. He learned obedience by the things which he suffered. Yahuwah, they don't understand it yet, became human in the form of a human in order to understand us, to be compassionate to us. For when we cry out to him now, there's no bulls and goats needed. He understands your affliction. Does that remove afflicting yourself every year? No. Because afflicting yourself humbles you to see who can help you. It doesn't remove the affliction every year. It's to humble you to see who your deliverer is. Man. So how can you remove these feasts?
And it also is when you humble yourself, that cup that he drunk, when you confess all that secret thoughts.
That's right.
And all that stuff, you're putting it out there so that
Glad
you
you
can get
mentioned
some healing. That's what that reconciliation is from the part. That's where it's coming from. So we have to do that. That's what these feasts provide at that time provide. Because if we don't do that, we're not humbling ourselves. Any man who thinks there's no crime with them, he is a liar.
Come on, Art. And I'm glad you brought that up, because that's the part that they're going to have to see on the other one. But I'm glad you brought that up. When Aharon had the goat, it says he confessed all the crimes of Yasharal upon that goat. He confessed all the crimes on that one goat. Of all the people, that means you had to know them. These people had to bring their dirt. It was just that serious.
And then it goes on to say, what? If you confess your crime, then I'm faithful and just
To forgive your crimes. Come on, man. See, this is a beautiful story. And from Old Testament, they call it, to New, it's the same story. You just don't understand how the story had a plot twist. Good night. Spoiler alert in a minute.
And the reason why you confess it is so that you, it's not that he doesn't know what you're doing, it's so that you can acknowledge what you've done. Because a lot of times, we can't see ourselves, we can't see the things that we do. We can sit up here and point out everything that Sally Sue and Billy Joe Bob does, but we can't see ourselves. But when we begin to confess, they're saying, hey, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And that's why we have to make sure that we take self-inventory, evaluate ourselves all the time to see what's in us, because anything can get in there and we're not paying attention, but we can see everybody else's. But once we start to look at ourselves, then he can help us.
And see, that's a form of humbling. Because if you begin to confess that you are filthy and dirty and you've done those things, that's letting your flesh know you ain't all that. That's a form of humbling as well.
Exactly.
That's Allah. That's humbling yourself.
We read the prayer of Manasseh the other day.
Ooh-wee.
The other day when we got ready to come into this, man, that's a powerful prayer.
Yeah, Tahala,
All it is one chapter.
Manasseh, prayer of Manasseh. Yeah, that thing is good. Man, that thing is very good. If you haven't read the prayer of Manasseh, check it out. Man, this thing is so good. he became, this is 9, he became the author of eternal salvation unto all them that obey him. So, watch this. People take that like he was never the author of deliverance. But no, he was already the author of deliverance. This is for you, buddy. This is not something that the Son got, they teach that the Son became so perfect, he became God-like. No, he was already perfect. He became the author of deliverance for all them that obey him. Now, that story is not about him, that's about them. That those who obey him are grafted in to the author of deliverance. See, people read that wrong. He was already the author of deliverance. Yahuwah is Savior, and beside me, there is no other Savior. See, he's already there. So why did it say he became the author? Because he became made perfect to bring those in that wasn't perfect. You see what I'm saying? They divide all this stuff up and try to make like Mashiach, we shouldn't be reading it. But they don't even understand. He did it for you. He did it for you. He could have stayed there. But he did it in obedience because he had to bring all of Yasharal in because of his promise to Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov that he would always have a remnant among their seeds that he would bring in. That's why when you look all the way through the Old Testament, you see remnant, 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 left the remnant. I didn't utterly destroy you. I kept a remnant out of my promise. It's his promise. So don't big and boast and beat your chest and say, it's all me. He would have came for just me.
Right.
No, He came for obedience to leave a remnant, to bring those in, that he is the author of deliverance to all them that obey him. Not everybody. This is not love wins, buddy. You teaching that foolishness? It's not that. Because it's only those who obey him that comes in.
Now, and just a little side note, that's why it's important that we understand context and we understand that pieces have to be brought together. Because it doesn't say for those who just believe.
Right.
The reasons why the apostles wrote when they were writing about belief is because they understood that belief and obedience were directly related. If you believe, you obey. If you don't obey, then you don't really believe.
They was talking to believe.
Hebrews 11. Abram 11. Hebrews 11 says this. Through belief, Abraham obeyed. It came together. You cannot say you believe in him and don't obey him. You can't love a person and don't know him. And how do we know him? We keep his commandments. Book is clear. Man. So this watch this. Called of Yahuwah, a high priest after the order of Melchizedek, of whom we have many things to say and hard to be uttered, seeing you are dull of hearing. He was going to say Yahuwah Yahusha right here in Hebrews. But because you don't understand and you don't really want to listen, I am not even going to waste my time. That's what he was trying to bring to you right here. There's many things he can say about Melchizedek, but you ain't going to believe it anyway. So let's keep it moving. That's what he says right here. To hard to be uttered, seeing that you are dull of hearing. Let's keep going. For when we have time, you ought to be teachers, but you need that one teach you again, which be the first principles of the oracles of Yahuwah. And that's right there in the book now. And I become such as need of milk or halab, and not of strong meat. For everyone that uses milk is unskillful in the word of righteousness, for he is a babe. But he was trying to get you to understand that the son is the father of the son. But even in his writing, he's telling you, I'm not even going to waste my time with Melchizedek. Not fooling. I'm going to give you a little piece of it. But you really should know this already. But you ain't even been, you just still on milk again. You ain't doing the study that you should be doing. Right in the book. But strong meat belongs to them who are full age, even those by reason of us have their senses exercised to discern both good and evil. Therefore, leaving the principles of doctrine of Hamashiach, let us go on to perfection, not laying again the foundation of repentance from dead works and the belief towards Yahuwah, of the doctrine of immersions and laying on of hands and the resurrection of the dead and of eternal judgment. And this we will do if Yahuwah permits. Meaning that's the basic stuff. Coming in, repenting and all that. But it's deeper things to this thing. That's what I'm trying to get to. I'm trying to get to the deeper things of what Yahuwah is trying to reveal unto us. You know what I'm saying? And we got to keep growing into this. Man, hallelujah, man. Hallelujah. Watch this. For it is impossible for those who were once enlightened or awake, they always use, to have tasted of the Shemayim gift and were made partakers of the Ruach HaKadosh, of the called out spirit of Yahuwah, and have tasted the good word, the good debar of Yahuwah, and the powers of the world to come, if they shall fall away, to renew them again to repentance. They can't repent. Seeing that they execute again to themselves the son of Elohim and put him to an open shame. So all these people who say they woke and then they go into witchcraft and they go into astronomy, astrology, all this foolishness after they've seen the Mashiach. I've seen people who Yahuwah opened the door for them to keep the Shabbat and keep feasts and stuff, and then they say, you know what, I'm going to go back to being a Christian. They done told me this. We prayed together and Yahuwah gave them a job. They ain't going to be able to renew this again. You put him back on open shame again, because what he's saying is the very execution he took for you, you didn't even accept it. And you knew this was the way of righteousness. It's right there in the book.
One person said it was too hard. They didn't want to leave their family.
Sure did.
He said, count it close. They counted up and it wasn't working.
Man. For the earth which drinks in the rain that comes off after it and brings forth herbs, meats for them who it has dressed, receives barakah from Elohim. But that which bears thorns and briars is rejected, and near unto cursing, whose end is to be burned. Tell me there is no lake of fire. Then why does people talk like this? All throughout the scripts, people are talking about the shaft and the shaft and the briars and the tares and all that being burned. What are they talking about then? This is not allegorical. One guy told me it was indigestion and heartburn. A pastor told me that. Blew me away. I couldn't believe that. Yeah, he was on Hebrews 10. He said, that's indigestion and heartburn. Wow. Yeah, I promise you he told me that. But beloved, we are persuaded better things of you, and things that accompany deliverance, though we speak thus. For Elohim is not unrighteous to forget your work and labor of love, which you have showed towards his name, in that you have ministered the Kadashim and do minister. We desire that every one of you should do the same diligence and full assurance of hope to the end, that you do not slothful, but followers of them through belief and patience, inherent promises. For when Elohim made promise to who? Abraham. Abraham. This is the promise of Abraham. This ain't about us per se. It's the promise of a man who cut a covenant with him. He cut a covenant with him and he walked through the pieces. This is recorded in book. And it says a dark cloud came upon him and he said, I will make you as your children as the sands of the sea, if you can number them. I'm going to make them like that, and I'm going to let you see them. This is why when it says Al-Azar went into Abraham's bosom, that's not the name of a place. People always want to philosophize that. Abraham is there greeting his children in righteousness. Look at the love that Yahuwah have for him, his friend.
If you go to the book of Jubilees, it talks about where when Yaakov was with Abraham, that when Abraham was blessing Yaakov and giving him instructions, that he slept in his bosom.
Boy,
book of Jubilees.
Ain't that something?
That's where Abraham's bosom comes from.
Every gift, everyone who goes into paradise is greeted by Abraham because he's letting him count. He said, if you can count them.
Come on.
If you can count them. He didn't say don't try. So everyone who is in righteousness that comes to him, he hugs him. That is his gift to his friend. You are going to see every seed that you have produced in righteousness. Boy!
Now, how does that not make sense when he is the Father? When he is our Father.
That's right.
According to the covenant.
And that's why he rejoiced to see his day. Because when Al-Azar died, he went right in his bosom. If that was just a place, who is the rich man talking to when he says, send Al-Azar to get water for me? He's talking to a physical man. He's talking to the one, he is holding Al-Azar at that time while he's talking to him. He didn't say, Abraham, go get me some water. He said, send Al-Azar to. Wow. And I believe in that script, we can go look at it. I think he called him Father Abraham too, while he was in that pit. So it just because you a son of Abraham don't mean you make it to paradise either. Because I believe he said Father Abraham.
And blood. It was blood.
Because he said the sons and daughters will be cast out. But prostitutes and tax collectors will come in.
Break it down.
Man, bruh.
I've had a tomato. I need something to throw at you.
Man, here we go. Come on, man. But see, watch this. It shows right here. For Elohim is not unrighteous to forget our labor of love. It's saying the work that Abraham put in, he is not going to forget it. So here we go. Because he could swear by no greater, he swore by himself. The promise that he made to Abraham, he couldn't swear for nobody greater. He swore by himself. That's why Yahushua is speaking, Abraham rejoiced to see my day. If he was just human, he wouldn't have said nothing like that. Before Abraham was, YAHUAH, I am. They picked up things to stone him because he blasphemed and made himself equal. Equal is the same person. I mean, we learned this in math, I thought. It's not a different being. It's the same person. Here we go. Saying, surely, barakah, or exaltation, I will exalt you. And multiplying, I will multiply you. And so, after he had patiently endured, he obtained the promise. For men verily swear by the greater, and by an oath of confirmation is to them the end of all strife, wherein Elohim more willing, more abundantly to show unto the heirs of promise. That's us. That's an S now. It's not Abraham now, it's us, the heirs of promise. Man, it's good, man. To the immutability of his counsel, confirmed it by oath. That is two immutable things in which it is impossible for Elohim to lie. we might have a strong consolation, who have fled for refuge to lay hold upon the assurance placed before us. He promised that if we run to safety to him, you hear this? This is real talk, man. I take this seriously. I truly believe this, that if we really believe in him and we run to him, he has promised us to be heirs of the promise. Man, we are refugees right now. Ooh la la la. Huh? We refugees. Man, bro. Listen to this, man. Listen. Which assurance we have as an anchor of the soul. You know, Christians used to sing that. The anchor holds. Didn't they sing it?
If we
Man.
understand that
Go ahead,
refugees, man, we need to really grasp that, because when you running for your life, man, and you know you're gonna get some safety.
Come on,
It makes you endure.
Come on,
It's gonna make you endure. You know it's some safety at the
Man,
end.
hallelujah.
You just got to get there.
Oh, man.
But we comfortable. We can't be comfortable in this land. We can't be comfortable in the mindset.
Good word.
It just is what it is. We got to
Good
fight
word.
and press towards this thing, man. Because we got some safety. Our redemption draw nigh.
Good word.
That's too right there.
That is,
Refugees,
man.
man.
And that's why he writes to them, he says, to the strangers. He always wrote, when Father or Peter wrote to them, he'll say to the strangers, to the dispersed, to the pilgrims. He'll use words like pilgrims to let them know, like you're saying, remember there's an endurance that has to happen. That's a good word. Man, hallelujah, hallelujah, man. That's good. Barak Yahuwah. Man, it's good. Here we go. Look at this. The assurance we have an anchor of the being, both sure and steadfast, which enters into that within the veil, where the forerunner is for us entered, even Yahusha, made a high priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. For this Melchizedek, king of Shalom, king of peace. We call him the Prince of Peace, right?
I'm waiting for you to get to my part.
Priest of Alion, who met Abraham returning for the slaughter of kings and baraked him, to whom also Abraham gave a 10th part of all, first being by interpretation king of righteousness, Melchizedek, and after Malach Shalom, or king of peace, without father, without mother.
There's my part.
There's no bloodline to trace. How can this be Shem? Because people teach that this is Shem.
There's my part.
It can't be then.
That's my part right
Man, without descent, neither having beginning of days, nor end of life, but made unto the Son of Elohim, abides a priest continually. It's underlined in mine. Huh?
The reason why they thought it was Shem, though, is because it says in one of the books, it says
Yahshay.
his name is Shem, which means renowned. So instead of them translating the word renowned, they put Shem in.
That's
Shem
right.
means renowned.
Come on. And then they called him Adonai Zadok in that book. That's the book of Yashar. And they called him Adonai Zadok, whose name is Sham, or to be renowned. It was not Sham.
Sham had a beginning.
Right.
Noah.
Because he would have known who Sham was, because he went and studied with Noah and Sham.
Right.
But this man appeared unto him and baraked him. And when he gave the barakah, he didn't give the barakah unto him as a man. He said, Elohim barak you. And they broke bread and wine.
Man.
This is, I mean, you got to understand the text. Because, see, if you just read the English text, you're not going to get the understanding. Torah Steph for sharing that, too.
Yeah, that's just
Torah for sharing that. And now consider this man was, unto whom even the patriarch Abraham gave a 10th of his spoils. And verily are the sons of Louis, who received the office of priesthood, have a commandment to take tithes of the people according to the Torah. Did he say pastors just then? He didn't even mention a bishop, pastor, or nothing. He said the sons of Levi.
Can I throw one thing in?
Go ahead.
For those today that try to say that includes like pastors and stuff like that. If you look back at that time, Yasharal had elders.
That's right.
They did not receive a tithe.
Come on.
The Levites received.
That's right. That's right. And if you look at Acts 4, Amashim 4, the son Barnaby, the son of prophecy. They translated son of consolation. Barnaby was a Levite, and he gave his offering to them at their feet.
That's right.
That kills it. So why are you taking the tithe? But we finna go in. This is about Mashiach and about atonement, man. have a commandment to take the tithes of the people according to the Torah, that is, of their brethren, and to come out of the loins of Abraham. But those whose descent is not counted for them to be received tithes of Abraham, and barak him, or blessed him that have the promises. And without all contradiction, the less is blessed of the better. And here men that die receive tithes. You see this? But there he receives them, of whom it is witnessed that he lives. He's eternal. Because if he was Melchizedek, he's still alive. Watch this. Woo-wee. For I may so say, Louis also, who received tithes, paid tithes in Abraham. For he was yet in his loins of his father when Melchizedek met him. You hear this? If therefore perfection were by the Levitical priesthood, for under it people received the Torah, what further need was there that another priest should rise out of the order of Melchizedek? Remember, they were just patterns. It wasn't perfection. And he's not saying the Torah wasn't perfect. The man that dies wasn't perfect. Let's look at this, man. And not be called after the order of Aharon. For the priesthood being changed, there has made a necessity to change also the priestly instruction. For he of whom these things are spoken pertains to another tribe. What is that tribe? Yehudah. Of which no man had attendance at the altar. But watch this. For it is evident that our Adonai sprang out of Yehudah, of which tribe Moshe spoke nothing concerning priesthood. But it is yet far more evident that after the similitude of Melchizedek there arises another priest, who is made not after the Torah of a carnal commandment. What is the carnal commandment? That the Levite man who dies get the tithe. That's what he's talking about. Not doing away with the Torah, but of the carnal commandment. Here we go. But after the power of an endless life. See? Not after a carnal man dying, but the power of eternal life. It's all context. And we have not received this context in Christianity. Because they wanted to do everything but be obedient. Now it's time for the context to come so that we can walk in obedience unto Yahuwah. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
For he testifies, you are a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. For there is verily a disannulling of the commandment going before for weakness and profitableness thereof. For the priestly instruction made nothing perfect. Why is that? Because the priests had to atone for themselves too. We're going to break that down. It made nothing perfect because before they could atone for your crimes, they had to atone for their own. It's common sense, man. Once your eyes are open, I put it like that. Because when you're blind, you don't see no common sense. But the bringing of a better hope did, by which we draw nigh unto Elohim, inasmuch as not without an oath he was made priest. For priests were made without an oath. Why? Because they were already bloodline Aharon. But with this an oath by him said unto him, Yahuwah swore and will not repent. You are a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. By so much Yahusha was made a surety of a better covenant. See? A better covenant because he's eternal. He is the word made flesh, right? So if he's the Torah made flesh, that means he's eternal. Still, as the word. Man. And truly there were many priests because they were not allowed to continue by reason of death. Right there. It was men, Levite priests, because they couldn't keep it going. But this man, because he continues forever, has an unchangeable priesthood. Wherefore he is able to save them to the uttermost. To the uttermost that comes to Elohim by him, seeing that he ever lives to make intercession for them. He's living to forgive. God, dog. That's beautiful. For such a high priest became us, who is Kadash, harmless, undefiled, separate from criminals, and made higher than the Shemaim, who needs not daily, as those high priests, to offer up sacrifice, first for his own crimes, then for the people. He did once when he offered up himself. For the Torah makes men high priests which have infirmity. That means they are human, tainted blood by the crime of Adam and able to die. That's what that means. But the word of the oath from Yahuwah, which was since the Torah, that means everlasting. because the Torah is everlasting. Boy, makes the Son who is consecrated forevermore. I'm finna finish. I gotta finish this up. Now, the things which we have spoken of is the sum. And here's the sum of the whole thing. See that colon right there? We have such a high priest who is placed on the right hand of the throne of majesty in the Shemayim, a minister of the sanctuary, of a true tabernacle. Remember, it was a pattern down here, which Yahuwah pitched and not man. So the true tabernacle is what Yahuwah made, not a human. Pay attention to this. Because here's an argument that I've heard, and I want to say this before I jump into this, because this thing is crazy right now. People say that we can't keep these feasts because we're not in Jerusalem, right? And they say you got to go to Jerusalem because you got to go to the temple. But the temple was destroyed. But here's proof that even when the temple was up, they didn't even go to the temple, because when they kept the feast, when they kept Shavuot or Pentecost, they were in Kafar's house. 120 people, were they not?
Yes, they were.
Okay. Then, if you look at the text again, when Yahusha told them to make ready the Passover, they weren't at the temple then. They actually asked a man to use his place. So everybody's arguing this stuff and not reading the scripts. Huh? He said, tell them that Adonai has need for these things.
Teach on.
Now, if you show me that he went to the temple to keep Pasah in a room off somewhere, a secret vault, hiding from Caiaphas and them, then I'll shut up. But you always argue these things, but he never was in the temple when he did this. Why? Because Yahuwah don't dwell in things made by man's hand.
Teach.
He want to dwell in you. He had to do this for these reasons. That temple was made by man's hands. So he says that now there's a better tabernacle pitched by Yahuwah and not by man. Now we can go in here and talk about this. 3. For every high priest is ordained to offer gifts and sacrifices. Wherefore it is a necessity that this man have somewhat to offer. For if he was on earth or on Haaretz, he should not be a priest. Why? Because he wasn't Levite. That's obvious. We know that. Seeing that there are priests that offer gifts according to the Torah, who serve an example and a shadow of heavenly things. Remember, it was a pattern made. That's what the book says. He told Moshe to make on earth the pattern of what you see. Moshe was admonished of Yahuwah that he was about to make the tabernacle. For see, he says, here we go, you shall make all things according to the pattern showed to you in the mount. But now he has obtained a more excellent ministry, by how much he is also the mediator of a better covenant, which was established upon better promises. Now let's say getting rid of the Torah, and here comes the New Testament, and here comes some new apostles. No, the better covenant and better promises that he is eternal. He was the thing that we seen up there. Matter of fact, the menorah is made after him. Huh? The light that we light the tabernacle with is him, because he is the light of the Shemayim. Boy, here we go. For if the first covenant had been faultless, there should be no place had been sought for the second. 8. For finding fault with them. You see?
Not it.
Not it. Not the Torah. Them, the priests. Finding fault with them, he says, behold, the days come, says Yahuwah, when I will make a Berit Hadashah, or a renewed covenant with the house of Yasharal and with the house of Yehudah. Pay attention to that. He said 2 names. Not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day I took them by the hand and led them out of the land of Mizraim, because they continued not in my covenant. The covenant was never broke by Yahuwah. It was broke by our fathers. Men that died. And I regarded them not, says Yahuwah. This is the covenant that I will make with the house of Yasharal. Remember he mentioned Yasharal and Yehudah. Now he only mentions Yasharal, because you got to come back in to Yasharal. You can't just say you Yahudi and not be a Yashralim. Man, here we go. After those days, says Yahuwah, I will put my Torah in their mind and write upon their hearts, and I will be their Elohim, and they shall be to me a people, and shall not and they shall not teach every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, know Yahuwah. For all shall know Yahuwah, from the least to the greatest. For I will be merciful to their unrighteousness, and their crimes and Torahless deeds will I remember no more. And that he says, Abarit Hadashah, he has made the first old, because it's humans. That's context. Now that which decays and waxes old is ready to vanish away. Then verily the first covenant had also ordinances of divine service. We're reading that because this is what they did during the time of atonement. They had to do this service in divine order. For there was a tabernacle made, the first wherein there was the menorah, and the table and the showbread, which is called the sanctuary. After the second veil, the tabernacle, which is called the Kadash of all, which has the golden censer. The ark of the covenant was overlaid round about with gold, wherein was the golden pot had manna, and Aharon's rod that budded, the sapphires of the covenant. And over the cherubim of esteem shadowing the mercy seat, of which we can now speak particularly. I hate when they draw that ark of the covenant and they got them two white angels bowing down like that. That's not what a cherubim looks like. So that's some old pagan foolishness that they done put on this thing. I just want to say that.
It specifically say sapphires, right?
Yeah, it says sapphires here. But I don't know if it says it in the King James. Okay. But when you look up, it actually talks about the glittering sapphires. That's why they translated it like that. And over the cherubim of esteem, shadowing the mercy seat, of which we cannot now speak particularly. But now these things which were ordained, the priest went always into the first tabernacle, accomplishing the service of Yahuwah. But into the second went the high priest alone once every year. Now we see what that is now. When we read this, not being Christians, this is that once every year, the Day of Atonement. Because every year, it was a statute that every year you must atone for the people. Watch this. Not without blood. He can't come in there just all white and sparkly. He had to have blood. Because Yahuwah requires blood, which he offered for himself and for the errors of the people. And the Ruach HaKadosh, this signifying that the way to Kadoshness of all was not yet made manifest, while the first tabernacle was yet standing. So they didn't even know the real way to get to what they call the holies of holies yet. Man, this is good. Which was a figure for the time then present, in which were offered both gifts and sacrifices, and could not make him that did the service perfect, as pertaining to conscience. So yeah, it was like a ritual being done, but it didn't permeate your inner man. It was just you doing it because this is your commandment by the Torah, because of your bloodline. See? So because of your bloodline, you had to do this service every day. And then from year to year, you had to complete this service. So watch this. Which stood only in meats and drinks. And we broke that down before. When Shaul says, don't let them judge you in meats and drinks, he's not talking about what you eat and what you drinking, meats and drinks offerings. Context. Which stood only in meats and drinks and diverse washings and carnal ordinances imposed on them to the time of restoration. But Hamashiach, being a high priest of good things to come, by a greater and more perfect tabernacle, not made with hands, that is to say, not of this building, neither by the blood of goats, hallelujah, Yahuwah, and calves, but by his own blood he entered in once into the Kadash place, having obtained eternal redemption for us. Man, that's love. His own blood. For if the blood of the blood of bulls and goats and ashes of a heifer sprinkling the unclean sanctifies to the purifying of the flesh, how much more shall the blood of Hamashiach, whom through the eternal rule offered himself without spot to our Yahuwah, purge your conscience from dead works to serve a living Yahuwah. Man, that's deep. And for this cause, he is the mediator of the Berit Hadashah, or renewed covenant, that by means of death, for the redemption of transgressions that were under the first covenant, they which are called might receive the promise of eternal inheritance. I was talking to a Goyim Laban, and I was telling him that we Hebrew by blood, and I was breaking down what that actually means. And he said, well, the Messiah did away with all sin. That's what he said. And I said, where is that at? He said, I've read it. I said, if that's the case, then why are we telling homosexuals that they shouldn't do it? why are we telling people that they wrong when they commit crimes then? He said, you know what, I ain't thought about that. He said, I've always been told that that's what he got done away with. I said, no, he gave you the option to receive him and get purified from your crimes. And you get away from crime, but he did not do with the crimes of the world. Because if that's the case, why we still have murders and things. So it's people going around and saying there's no crime on the earth. And that's a dangerous thing because like you said, and like you said, YAHUAH, if people say they don't have any crime, how can they ask for forgiveness for it? How can they ask for forgiveness of something they think done away with? So not only if they saying the Torah done away with, they saying the crime is done away with. Well, that's dangerous. Yeah. And that's not what he did. Boy, for where a testament is, there also must be of necessity the death of the testator. For a testament is of force after men are dead. Otherwise, there is no strength of own while the testator lives. Whereupon neither the first covenant was dedicated without blood. Who was the first covenant's testator? That calf that was cut in half. Not Abraham. He didn't kill himself and then make the covenant. It was the blood of that bullock. When he cut it in pieces, he split it in two parts and they walked between the pieces. That's bull. That covenant was made by the death of that cow. So now, here's a better covenant with the death of Yahuwah, the creator of all living, shedding his own blood to bring us back in. Man, that's powerful. Man, for when Moshe has spoken of the precept, watch this, he's going to show you who died, even on this. For when Moshe has spoken every precept to all the people according to the Torah, he took the blood of calves and goats, that means they had to die, with water and with scarlet wool and hyssop, and sprinkled both the book and all the people. That's a lot of bulls and goats, boy. To sprinkle all the people that came out of Mitzrayim. And watch this, saying, this is the blood of the covenant, which Yahuwah has enjoined unto you. Moreover, he sprinkled the book, sprinkled the blood, both the tabernacle and all the vessels of ministry. That's a lot of blood, y'all. Yeah. And that's what I want y'all to see today. That's a lot of blood in their time that had to be sprinkled on everything. Because the priest himself had to dip his finger and sprinkle 7 times and put it on the back of his ear. It's blood everywhere. Blood everywhere at this time. Man. Here we go. And almost all things are by the Torah purged with blood. Almost all things in the Torah are purged with blood. And without the shedding of blood, there is no remission. Man, that's serious. So if you don't believe in the Mashiach shedding his blood, what do you got, bro?
You're scared. You're scared.
That's right. What do you got if there's no bloodshed? Go ahead.
We need to do some like detailed responses to certain things. Because when you brought that up, it made me think about what a lot of people say. They go to the script to try to prove that they don't need the Mashiach. Right. They go to where it says that.
Dawood with a broken and contrite heart.
Right. Just repent.
But if that's the case, then why he offers sacrifices? Right. He says, this is what he says. A blood of bulls and goats have you not required, but a broken and contrite heart. But the broken and contrite heart is to bring you repentance, to offer the bulls and sacrifice.
To obey.
Right. So it's not doing away, because look at this. When he came down to Mount Sinai, he was just going to give his word, but they stopped him and said they want to speak to Moshe. The reason why blood has to happen is because they rejected the rule just coming in obedience. So if you are disobedient, you must have blood. So when Dawood says that of a broken and a contrite heart do you require, he's saying before I can even offer anything, you got to have a broken and contrite heart. Because watch this, a king can't offer a sacrifice for himself anyway. He had to go to the priest. Remember when Shaul was in, Melech Shaul was in there, he was offering sacrifices. And Shamuel, who was the prophet, said, what are you doing? He said, I'm offering to your Elohim. But you had disobeyed. That's why he told him what? He said, the hearken is better than the fat of rams. You can't offer this stuff for yourself. You got to listen. You in disobedience even right now. So you can't just take Malek Daoud saying of bulls and goats do you not require, but a broken and contrite heart, because he couldn't offer sacrifice himself anyway. He had to have the blood of bulls and goats offered by a Levite, because if Daoud never did that, Daoud was not right. He was not right, because by this book it says everything, almost everything in Torah was offered by blood. What did Daoud do? He did a lot of dirt there, buddy. He did a lot of dirt. He did some old extracurricular dirt. You know what I'm saying? So you can't just rely on what he said.
Used to a man.
Right.
Everything in scripture, just because in scripture or in the Bible doesn't mean that it was right to do.
Right.
It's actually a lot of example of what not to do.
It's written for our learning.
Thank you.
Exactly. Our learning.
It's written for our learning.
Yeah.
And that's book. And so we gotta be rightfully dividing the word. Because even with those saying that he still had to offer bullocks and stuff for the crimes that he committed. He was not just forgiven by feeling bad when Nathan came to him and told him he was the man. It doesn't happen like that.
But it also, the point of that was too, and you touched on it, but I want to say it again in a different way, I guess.
Go ahead.
It's the fact that when he said you don't require bulls and goats, what he was saying was, okay, you sitting up here, you killing all these animals, but you gotta bring your heart gotta be right.
That's
because
right.
You can sit up here and kill animals all day, because you got people who go hunting. They don't really, you know what I'm saying? They ain't trying to atone for their crimes. But he's saying, in order to bring these, you bring in the bulls and goats and
Come
stuff.
on.
You bring in the bullets, but you need to have a heart that's ready to be turned.
That's right.
And so
There you go.
That's what that whole scripture means, right there. And you got to put it
Total.
in context.
Total.
It's the
Total
same
for that.
thing with the fasting that you just read. He wasn't saying don't fast.
Because they were already
He
fasting.
was saying don't fast like this.
Remember, he said, you asked, is this not the fast? He said, no, this is the fast I want you to do. So he said y'all were fasting because he said you fast for strife and debate.
Same thing when we talk
Context.
about rejecting the feast.
Come on.
I reject your days. I reject all this. He wasn't rejecting his commandment. He was rejecting their pollution of it.
Exactly.
Come on,
It's the same
The heart
principle
that
that
they
you said.
had. Exactly.
See, and that's understanding. But see, these people are not walking in understanding. For one thing is because they don't have his rule. And that's a serious thing. Because the rule rightfully divides this word.
If you don't have the rule of Hamashiach,
You're none of his. If you don't have the spirit of Yahuwah through the Mashiach, you're none of his. That's book. So this is what we are. I mean, we argue with people who don't have his rule, who are trying to get out of obeying.
Right.
Because you got people who said, you know, I was told this. I didn't see this myself, but I was told that somebody made a post and they said, you know what? I don't feel like doing atonement. I don't feel like doing these feasts. Do I have to do them? Because I really don't feel like, you know, going out in the woods and camping in the tent or going outside. I'm not an outdoors person. I really don't feel like doing it. Do I have to do it? And they said, Bruce just flooded over there. No, we're not in Jerusalem. You don't have to do it. Well, see, that's the heart against it, though. They ain't saying I can't do it because of my job. They ain't saying I really want to do it, but I'm not able to do it. They saying they just don't feel like doing it.
He said, be willing
And obedient.
and obedient.
You see that?
Want to.
And so they were defending and patting this person on the back saying you don't have to do it, but they said they just didn't want to.
Well,
That same heart there.
truth be told, they did it. And they had that same feeling to be in vain, so they might as well not do it.
What did Yahusha say? He said the son who says he's going to go and don't go. But the sons who said I don't want to go and then ends up going, which one of Yahuwah honor?
The one that obeyed.
The one who was willing to obey.
Because it's not, that's a good point you made, because our hearts have to change. But one thing that, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong though, but I'm saying that Yahuwah, that your obedience will change your heart.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't. We don't have to wait for a heart
Come on,
transformation to obey.
That's right.
We're supposed to obey,
Yeah,
even if
that's
we
right.
don't want to, even if we don't understand
Rock
it,
you
even
up.
if we don't feel like it,
Yeah.
we obey. And in obedience, He'll change that heart.
It's a
Come on, man.
circumcision of
That's
the heart,
good.
The other man. It's like, when we first came in, and I used to sit up and I would come and I'd check y'all out. I said, I ain't winning this season. I know that was easy, but I said, I ain't winning that. What's that got on? I ain't not doing that.
Yeah.
But now it's automatic.
See,
It's
right,
automatic.
right,
Once you just jump in it, it just trust him. We gotta just trust him. That's that circumcision of the heart, of the mind right there. So it just go happen.
Because
Yeah.
y'all
Told him for that
Yahuwah
testimony too.
Yahuwah came to prepare Yahshua for the Mashiach. The Ruach hadn't been sent yet, but He told him to obey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had to repent and obey. And the ones that repented and obeyed were the ones that were able to receive when the Mashiach came.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? We have to, and just Yahuwah been dealing with that obedience is so paramount that he accepts obedience even if we're not understanding and fully convinced in our heart. He will change our heart by us trusting and having enough faith to say, I know what you said is right, so I'm just going to do what you said.
Man, that's
Yeah.
good.
And when I do what you said, you'll transform.
That's a
good.
difference still, because somebody's saying that they don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I don't feel like doing
That's a whole
it.
thing.
Versus, I want to do this. I don't really understand it. I'm not an outdoorsy person, but I'm gonna do this in obedience because I know that's what He wants. And compared to, I don't want to do that. I don't really feel like.
Yeah, I'm not feel like going
Just to
outside. Yeah.
clarify, just to make sure I'm clear, you're absolutely right. That is how Steph described what that, even
Yeah,
the
that
post
person.
itself
Yeah.
was arrogance and pride.
Yeah, that was.
That was not.
That's
was
right.
not someone that was just had a sincere heart. That's somebody that just flat out just don't want to do
Just
it.
don't want to obey.
Probably knows clearly the scripts that say we're supposed
Well,
to
I'm
do
gonna tell you
it.
this. I had a pastor tell me straight to my face. Told me his people were fasting in the church. Straight to my face. He said, "I'm not gonna fast." He said, "I like my burgers and stuff too much." He told me that. He said, "They can fast all they want to. I'm just not doing it."
Hey, but
That's a different rule altogether. Go ahead.
what's that? Let's talk about people that encourage this individual to not do it. Let's
They're in some serious trouble.
what's that script that talks about if you teach somebody else to disobey my commandment?
Yahusha said, if you teach those who teach to break the least of the commandments, and those who break the least of the commandment and teach others to do so, it will be called least in the kingdom.
Right.
And those who follow the greatest commandments and teach others to do so will call great in the kingdom of Yahuwah. So they take that least in the kingdom, but you're gonna be cast out in the end. Yeah.
If you by teaching other people to, or by encouraging other people to not do what Yahweh said, you're putting yourself in position for a lot of bad stuff.
Yeah.
It's a whoa.
Yeah, well, until you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's the same thing. That's the spirit of the Pharisees, because he said you gave them great burdens, but you yourself wouldn't move one with one finger. You ain't try to do it. So they wasn't trying to do it. That's what people always act like the Pharisees were so righteous, but they weren't even trying to do it. They loved the traditions of their elders and the ancestors. They did not care about Yahuwah's word. That's why he said, "Why do your disciples break the traditions of elders by not washing their hands?" He said. Then he turns over to them and says, "Well, why do you break the commandments of Yahuwah by your tradition?" See how he responded back to them? He knew what they were doing. So to say that I'm just not gonna do it, that just shows, that was a different heart in that. You get what I'm saying? And just obeying, being willing to obey is this, man. It's like when those people left out of Mitzrayim, they complained the whole time. Look at they complain. We cannot complain, y'all. I'm telling you, it'll mess us up because they complained the whole time because they were saying, man, it'd be better if we got fish and garlic and all that back in the meat pots. They were talking about the flesh pots. Read that. What the crap was in that pot? The flesh pots that we had. They just complain all the time.
They could just dive in the grave.
Yeah.
Instead of being out here in this death.
Ain't that something?
Wow.
They complain about everything.
And if you look at that and look in the scripts, they weren't even being buried in the ground in Mizraim. They were being buried underwater.
Yeah.
Because when they had to go get Yahusha's bones, they had to bring his coffin up out of the water. So they weren't even getting really grave graves. They were getting watery graves pretty much.
Wow.
They couldn't even be buried among the Egyptians. So they were just complaining about everything. They had a heart of, I just don't want to do this. But you seen him bring you out with a mighty hand. He said this. He said, man, go tell these people. You have seen that I spoke with you from the Shemayim. That's big. Your ears is hearing him talk to you, and you still saying, I don't want to talk to him. I want Masha to. That's why the blood was required. At first, the blood wasn't required. He just said, wash yourself and be ready against the day. But the blood was required because of disobedience. Go ahead, Op.
They was whores.
They were whores.
They did not want to marry.
Boy, they wanted the benefits without marriage.
Right, they didn't want to marry.
Wow. That's deep.
Man.
They wanted the benefits without marriage. That's exactly what they was. Because they wanted Yahuwah to do this and do that and do that. Matter of fact, when they needed something, they went right to Masha about it.
Right.
Why didn't you just walk back to Mitzrayim? So you wanted the barakah, but didn't want the obedience.
They didn't wait back, did they?
Boy, they did. They could have walked back.
Yeah. They never went out back.
But they wanted what Yahuwah had to offer without fullness of what what he wanted them to have. They had the heart of Pharaoh, though. Think about that. Because when Pharaoh told them, he said, okay, you ain't got to leave. I'll let you do all your little rituals and things you do here. You can just do them right here. I'll allow you to do. He said, no, I can't do them around all these abominations. We have to go out with our cattle, with our children, with our wives. We had to go out the whole way away from you and do what Yahuwah has. He will not accept it here. And see, that's the mind of the person who left that is in bondage. Man, I'm going to pick these idols, and it's going to be Yahuwah. Today is a feast to Yahuwah.
Right.
See how evil that is?
They just wanted to be free in the midst of all that hoarding.
Yeah, they want to
They
be.
didn't want to come out the hoarding.
Yeah.
They just wanted to have some
They want to be
freedom
woke.
and not be getting their backs whooped and
Yeah.
be able to still enjoy all that
They
hoarding.
still want to touch the unclean thing. and
Today is called being woke.
Right.
Crazy.
You want to be woke, you still want to do your Erica Baduism and all this foolishness. You want to do your wokeness, but you don't want to obey. You want to know his name is Yah. You know, his name is Yah. I understand that, but I don't want to obey no commandments.
Right.
And that's the people who doing it. You still listen to the same filth. Sent me a picture, bro, and I appreciate that, of Kodak Black. That boy had on zits. Kodak Black, one of the most horrible Illuminati rappers out right now. And that boy had zits on.
But I guarantee you.
I said, wow, he was with ISUPK.
I guarantee you, not just ISUPK, but I guarantee you're going to find I'm going to say it loud so make sure live can hear me.
Say it loud.
You're going to find a flood of brews that will be posting all over the place how this joker woke now.
Yeah.
And he's coming into the covenant.
That's what they were posting. That
That
was the post.
Seats now.
That was the post winning out. The post was saying even they know who they are.
That ain't enough.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
No, it ain't enough.
It ain't enough to know who they are. They knew who they were. The whole time they knew who they were, the people.
The devils know who it is.
Huh?
The devils know
The devil's not. That's it. Man, that's serious.
And do trip.
And so this is why I'm sharing that. You know, we not going off. We want you to understand it because what Yahusha did when he shed his blood was not to do away with obedience. It was to bring you back under subjection to obedience. Anah. I want you to learn that word. Anah means to afflict, to humble yourself. Why is that so vital? Because he humbled himself. That's why he told you what? If you want to be my follower, take up your stake, your tree, and follow me. That was a sign of the affliction. He wasn't just talking. He was telling you to grab your affliction and follow me. You must die daily. Die daily. That's what he kept saying. When Zebedee's sons, you know, the two sons, the sons of thunder, when they came to him, they asked for the right hand and the left to sit on in his kingdom. And he said, can you be baptized with the baptism I will be baptized with? He said, surely you will. But this is not mine to give. So what was the baptism? The baptism was the tree, the execution. He had already been immersed. He said, but surely you will be baptized. So that takes the thief on the cross to another level. That means he was baptized.
Ooh, it said it.
Huh?
He was immersed. Was he immersed?
Boy. That's the immersion.
Come on.
Dying is the immersion.
Either on that tree.
So you hollering, the thief wasn't immersed, he was.
Right.
Dying was the immersion. And he believed in the midst of his immersion. And he said, this day you will be with me in paradise. This day. He dropped off that thief and went to the pit. Because the great gulf between both of them. Boy.
Hey, so pop blood over there.
Huh?
You better teach this.
Ain't that something? But the Christians always told us he didn't have to be immersed. But Yahusha said he was immersed. Because he said the sons of Zebedee would be immersed the same way. He called his tree immersion. And then he tells us to take up that same tree. So that means you must be immersed daily by the suffering of the Mashiach. You must know that this is just not a game that you can play. You must understand what he did for you. Man, let me tell you something. This atonement time, man, this is like the closing out into Sukkot, the marriage feast. That's what that is. Atonement, you have made yourself clean and have put on the garment for the feast. You see that? The parable of the story, the man didn't have a garment on. Huh? So this right here is your garment now.
Virginized.
Ain't that something? You now have that white garment on now, so when you go to this feast, you are ready to feast with him. That's what tabernacle with him. He tabernacled among us. We are doing the Feast of Tabernacles to show you. Because when he led them out of the wilderness, who were they with? They were with Yahusha. He said, I send this angel before my face. Listen to him, because he will not pardon your transgressions. In him is my name. Didn't it say it? He was with them at every point in those tents. So you are, what he say? Well, two or more are gathered together, he's in the midst of them. So this atonement is to clean you up to be ready for this next feast. This is the closeout feast. That's why you rejoice for 7 days. And on that 8th day, it's solemn. Why is that day solemn? Nobody ever asked this question. It's solemn because when Yahusha come back, that's his day of judgment. It's going to be a solemn time. So we have 7 days of rejoicing and 1 day of solemnity because we are remembering that day ain't going to be good for other people. We've rejoiced our 7 days, but for the other people, it ain't going to be beautiful at all. It is going to be a day, it says that the blood of the horses will up to the bridles. You know how tall a horse is? He said that's blood. He going to be bathed with the blood of his foes. He going to have a robe made to absorb blood of his foes. Wow. That's tailor-made right there, bro. This is not a game. I know it's not. Because I'm going to tell you, the same rule that talked to me and told me to come into this is the same rule that talked to you. The same rule that talked to you. The same rule that talked to you. We all waking up into this because he done told us to come in. Yeah. We can still be Christians. We can still be Muslims. We can still be Jehovah's Witnesses. We can still be all those things. But he said, you know what? Because I promised Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov, because they were righteous, I'm going to call y'all again. I'm going to hit y'all up one more time. And now we are restorers of those breaches. Woo! This is not a game. Hallelujah. Man, this ain't no game. No. This is real connected stuff right here. And I feel it in my room, man. I feel it when I deal with him. I feel that he's saying, I'm here. I'm here. Continually, I'm here. But we can't live like we used to live. Those people are dead. They left off. They died. You have atoned for that. This is what atonement is. You fasted. You fasted yesterday to say, I need Yahuwah. Huh? I need Yahuwah. While everybody was eating, man, it's like when you fast, people offer you all kind of food. But it's like you have atoned. You really humbled yourself, and now you can come into this now. This is the feast of rest right here. 10th day of the 7th month. This is not just something he just designed just to throw out there. There's cycles to this. If you look at the new and all those, the 10th day of the 7th month, you look at this in the scripts, they did it too. It was visitations time unto Yahuwah. I remember it was mentioned about Yaakov at this time. And we'll go deeper in that a whole nother time. But I want you to understand what the Mashiach did for you. Because, see, you don't need blood of bulls and goats right now. I don't even want to touch on them scriptures. I want to touch on the blood that you do need, though. The blood of Mashiach that he shed for you. And he said, unless you eat my flesh and drink my blood, there is no life in you. There's no life in you. So you can't say, I don't believe in the Mashiach. I'm a Bruto, but I don't believe in the Messiah. You can't say that. And people say, well, give me the Old Testament to show that he was going to die. And then people will say, well, Yahuwah is against human sacrifice. Well, show me in Shopatim or Judges 11 where the rule told that man to sacrifice his daughter. Because he made a vow that whatever came to him, he would sacrifice. Don't lie to me and tell me he's against human sacrifice. Because he's not. You just making up stuff to try to back up your doctrine. Because Yahuwah has never said that.
He said don't sacrifice to Malek.
Right. He is against human sacrifice to demons. Right. And like I told you, this is the seriousness of this. The blood that was shed for us has to be placed on our bodies. It has to be placed on our beings to know that when we leave and we go into these feasts, we are going into this feast as Kadash people. This is what atonement is for. It's to clean you up to keep his feast. Let me finish this and I'm done. Hallelujah. We was without shedding the blood, this is wrong remission. This is 9 and 23 now. This is Hebrews, Abarim, 9 and 23. It was therefore necessary that the patterns of things in Shemayim should be purified with these things. But the Shemayim are heavenly things themselves with better sacrifices than these. That's why he was a lamb slain since the foundation of the world. His blood has been slain to purify even the Shemayim since the foundation. For Hamashiach is not entered into the Kadash places made with hands, not that temple, which are figures of the true. It's in the Shemayim. That's why he told Miriam what? Handle me not. I have not yet ascended to my Father. It was work he had to finish. But the Shemayim itself, now to appear in the presence of Yahuwah for who? For us. Nor yet he shall offer himself often, as the high priest enters into the Kadash place every year with blood of others. This is that blood of others. He did it every year. For then must he often have suffered since the foundation of the world. But now, once in the end of the world, has he appeared to put away crime by the sacrifice of himself. No man takes my life, I lay down my life. I lay down my life. At the end of the world, he came at the perfect time that it had to happen. As it is appointed of the men once to die, but after this is the judgment. So Hamashiach was once offered to bear the crimes of many, not everybody. You see that? The crimes of many. That's why he said the Mashiach has not come to be served, but to serve and give himself as a ransom for many, not for all, because everybody ain't going to receive him. He didn't word it like that because everybody won't decide that this is serious. Even people in your own family may not decide that this is serious. That's why he said mother and daughter going to be against each other. Father and son. In-laws against in-laws. That's what he said. He said your own children may give you up to the chief priests and scribes to get you killed. He knows it's not a game. And unto them that look for him, this is it. And unto them that look for him, we look for him. When we keep these feasts, we look for him. Shall he appear the second time without crime unto salvation, unto deliverance. Man, bro. Man. So if we waiting for him, this is what we looking for him for. These feasts. When we prepare these meals unto him. We sit and because he said he gonna sup with us. He gonna eat with us. When he comes back, we gonna eat with him. That's why he told us, he said, I won't even drink from the vine until I drink it with you anew in the new kingdom. Wow. So he's backed up himself off of wine, and he is the fine yain. He is that good wine. And he said, I'm not even going to drink it until I drink it anew with you. That's how big this is to him. That's big. Man, that's love, man. He waiting to eat with you. He waiting to have this relationship with you. Don't let the world deceive you that this is a lie. Because a lot of Hebrews are leaving this. You done passed through Christianity's lies. You done set in all them lies for 30-something years and then get over here and say, I just don't believe no more. How dare you? You done did all them lies for them many years and you can't dig over here when he done woke you up to the truth? You weren't worthy of this then. You weren't worthy of this.
That's it.
When you say that, what is it to go back to when people do that? There ain't nothing to go back to.
Yeah, what can you go back to, huh?
But death. Just death. No matter what was your stickler, whatever you was addicted to, whatever you loved, it's just death.
Man, that's why Kappa told him what? Peter told him this. Where do we go?
Where will we go?
You have the words to eternal life.
What did he say? Will y'all turn from me too?
Yeah.
He said, where will we go?
Where we go? How can I go back to being what I was, man? How can I go back to that? There's no life there.
You ain't last long.
No.
You ain't last long.
You would make it. Man, that's great, man. That's a great word right there. You wouldn't. You wouldn't survive that. That's too much. So now, man, we must endure. We must endure. We must make it an effort to say, we know you shed your blood. And no matter, even if Christianity twisted how you did it, even if they twisted your name, we know you now. We know you now, and we're going to be willing to make the effort to find you when you come. That's what. And then he says, when he comes, this is what YAHUAH says, we will know him as he is to be known, meaning we're going to become just like him. Then we'll know everything, whether the tongue was right, huh? Whether the feast days were exactly accurate, We'll know everything then. But we must strive to be obedient.
Man.
Try it. Try it. Huh? We're going to know everything. What he looked like. We arguing about that. We're going to know everything. We're going to know everything at that point in time. But we must. Now, belief is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. For by it, the elders received a good report. That's 11. Let's jump right over this to read that part. You ain't got to know it all or see it all right now. You just got to believe that he is who he say he is. And he is a rewarder of those who diligently seek him. If you're seeking him, you will see him. Follow peace with all men, and without Kadashnin, no man shall see Yahuwah. He didn't say in the Shemayim, he didn't say in the afterlife, you can see him now. But if you're not Kadash, no man will see him.
Tell them what Kadash means.
It means righteous. It means called out. It means separated.
So that means
If you're not separated from this world, no man can see Yahuwah. Be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. You can't see him with a mind that's not renewed.
So anytime someone tells you that you can have him and still play around with this world, take him to the word.
Not like.
You are
Because
not telling
it
the
says,
truth.
friends of this world has enmity with Yahuwah. Enmity is the exact word of what we say is beef. If you are friends with this world, you have beef with him. This is serious, y'all. I'm talking about this is serious. This is serious because things are finna change in our government. Things are finna change in this city. Things are finna change in this world. And they're going to be at us. They're going to be at us who say we believe him. Because these devils know. The ones who running everything, really running the show, they know it's true. Them devils know it's true. They making everything wicked because they want everybody to break.
Just like they did in Maccabees.
That's right.
They wanted them to break. So they went purposely to the Yahudi to feed them things that they knew that they were forbidden from taking part.
That's right.
So now you have to make a decision. Are you willing to die to stay true to Yahuwah? Or are you going to bend and go on and conform to what the heathen bring?
That's right.
They did it purposely. And they're going to do the same thing to us.
That's right.
They're going to do the same thing.
Take no thought. He is just to deliver.
For your life. That's it.
And one more thing, and I'm going to be quiet. No matter where in the world we go, you can run, but you can't hide.
You can't.
You can't hide.
Man, it's a script. It's a verse in scripture. It's a passage, a whole chapter actually, where the Yashralim acts like they could run, and Yahuwah had not told them to go to this place, and they went far, like trying to escape, and they were really persecuted and attacked because Yahuwah said, "I didn't tell you to move. I was going to be your savior." That's in the book. And so it's the same thing. You cannot escape. If he gonna gather us from the four corners, you got to stay in the four corners. Because if you move to one place, that's not the four corners.
That's right.
If we all got a little ship right now and just shot somewhere and move somewhere, what we gonna do? He gonna gather us.
Can I say one more thing?
Go ahead, Doc.
Look, we have been corrupted. I believe in prosperity. I believe that Yahuwah wants us to have stuff. I believe that he wants us to increase in everything. But we have been corrupted, and I see a lot of it brought into the operate. We have been corrupted by a Christian mindset that makes us believe we don't have to suffer.
Mm-hmm.
That we don't got to give nothing up, that we don't have to struggle, and we don't have to do nothing. And that mindset has permeated us as Christians, and we brought it over into this walk. That's the reason why we're so focused on prosperity, increase, get this, get that, get this, get that, get this, get that. And that's all good because he gives us stuff. But then at the same time, we totally dismiss that every apostle, except for Yohanan, had to die. Mm-hmm. Now this is the same Yahuwah that promised blessings to those who follow him, right?
Exactly.
Explain them.
Exactly.
Explain all the patriarchs that came after them that had to give their lives for this.
Right.
Explain all the people that were murdered, that have been falsely imprisoned, spending decades in prison. Mm-hmm. I mean, we just think about America. We got places all over the world where our people are seriously being persecuted.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that we have to we have to dismiss this mindset, this capitalism mindset, and understand that yes, okay, yeah, Yahuwah, he's blessing me. He's making me rich. He's giving me this and giving me that. That's all good. But that got to be on the back burner.
That's right.
And we still got to be willing to give up this flesh and give up this life if it so requires.
And let me tell you why. Christianity, man, all you got to do is Christianity equals the mind of Mitzrayim or the mind of Egypt. It's the exact mindset. Because when Moshe brought them out, they rejoiced for that one day. They sung that song when they passed through the parted sea. But when they got on the other side, they said, have you brought us out here to die?
Wow.
They didn't want to suffer. Just like you said. Have you brought us out here to die? Are we going to be thirsty? Are we going to be hungry? They complain about suffering.
That's right. That's good stuff.
Christianity is made from the same makeup as that spirit of Mitzrayim. Wow. It's the spirit of Egypt, the same spirit. And like you said, we do not want to suffer. We do not want to put ourselves, and that's the reason why people say they're not fasting, because they don't want to suffer.
It's just even being uncomfortable. It's not even necessarily suffering. It's just being
Shoot,
uncomfortable.
you're right.
There you go.
Come on.
There you go, say it is, yeah. Nobody wants to be uncomfortable.
That's right.
And we are in a world where comfortability is everything.
That's
That's
right.
the whole thing. Even when you were talking about earlier about where they go back to, it's not a matter of what we're going back to. It's a matter of, hey, I just want to be comfortable.
That's right.
So that means going back to what I used to do. Sure, I'm gonna do it. Yeah, maybe I'll die, but hey, at least I'm comfortable.
Wow.
And that's funny that you say that, because even in slaves, even with the slaves, a lot of slaves didn't want to be freed when we was in this world because they didn't know what was out there for them.
That's right.
They'd rather be at master's house dealing with the foolishness than being out there wondering what they're gonna get and do. And I mean, it's a mentality, and because it's a mentality, it's a spirit behind it. It's a rule behind it. So you got to get out of the spirit of being comfortable. You have to get out of the spirit of not wanting to suffer. And how do you get out of that spirit? No, humble yourself, fast and pray and seek Him, and ask Him to show you and guide you. Because I feel like a lot of people aren't doing it.
You understand?
Who?
You have a hand up?
Y'all still listen.
Okay.
Who has
Hand
that?
up a while ago. You said what you were going to say.
Okay.
So,
You got anything else to say? You want to say something? But what I'm saying is, we have to seek Him to know Him, and I feel like now, once we find out we bruise, we do get it out. We get real comfortable as we bruise because we like, man, we know who we are now. You know, that's all we needed. Because Yahuwah gonna do everything when He get back. That's how people act.
Yeah.
That's all we need. All I need to know is I'm a brew. That's pretty much all it is. That's what they say. They don't want to keep the feast. They're not keeping the feast. They're not keeping. I had a brew argue with me that he's still eating pork. Wow. A Hebrew, not a Christian. He said, well, you can still eat pork. I've seen brews put lobster and shrimp on a grill and eat them. Hebrews. So this is not. It's a spirit we dealing with. It's not flesh and blood. These are rules of deception. Strong delusion in the latter days. These are spirits. The Spirit speaks expressly that in the latter times, some will depart from the belief, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of demons. He said latter times. So are we going to believe that? Because that's what's going on. Anybody want to pray us out? Because I'm done, man. I just wanted to just encourage you to be strong and do not give up. Do not give up, man. Barak Yahuwah. We almost there. And when I say we almost there, I mean we almost there. I ain't saying like no crazy pastor talking about next year gonna be the end of the world type stuff. I'm saying we almost there in enduring and getting to the place that Yahuwah is pleased with us, and we see signs and wonders and things of Yahuwah like healing and deliverance and stuff like that. That's when I say we almost there, that's what I'm talking about. Because I believe He gonna do exploits with us. If we just continue to seek Him and be often, and we going to see eyes open and legs grow out and things that Christians lied and portrayed and acted like was happening, we going to see it for real. I do believe that because He said, you greater work shall you do, and greater things that you see me do, and greater, because I go to the Father. I believe that. Yahusha didn't just say that just to say it. He meant that. And I know He meant it. But in order to get there, we almost there. In order to get there, we got to get away from this world. Just like what did he do? He get away from people and he go pray. He get away. That world did not draw him. They wanted to make him king. He ran from them. He was not concerned with the world that he was in. We got to be the same way. We got to. We don't have a choice if we want to see his manifestation on this earth through us. Because if we the repairers of the breach, we got a heavy job for us to do. We can't just take that lightly. If we repairers of the breach, we like that. We like when we hear that, but we're going to have to do something. Mm-hmm. What did I tell you? Ma'ashim. That's the book of works. But they didn't want to put the book of works, so they put the book of Acts. The Acts of the Apostles. They didn't like to hear works. Works make you scared.
That's right.
But Ma'ashim in Abrit means works. It was the things they were doing. But it made Christians uncomfortable, so they called it the book of Acts.
They still don't read it.
Right. So anybody want to pray us out?
Yeah, I pray it out.
Okay, Torah, come on up here and pray us out, man. Appreciate you. Hallelujah.
It died just in time, Zamir.
And we're right, YAHUAH.
You know, Greg. Greg, he's your man.
No, wait a minute, hold up. We can't just pass over that, man. It just died.
Man, we're right,
Yeah, a
YAHUAH.
while ago.
Oh, it died a while ago?
Yeah.
Oh, man, they just killed your testimony. All right.
No, that's how. Hey, but in the Christian church, they would have let that go and let that little lie testimony go on.
Yeah.
They do it all the time.
What are you doing?
Man, listen, hold up. Hey, I know a lady who dodged a man for her car payment and then testified that she was blessed that Yahuwah gave her a car. She was hiding and dodging. She didn't pay the man the car.
I was there for that. His car lot went out of business.
His car, yeah, that's right.
And so she got her car for free because his car lot went out of business.
And she told that as a testimony.
Yeah.
That is not a lie. She avoided that man. How many other people were doing that? He wasn't getting his money. So the car lot shut down. She said G.O.D. J.C. gave her her car. But she was avoiding that man from paying him.
Wow. Okay, but watch this though. Watch this.
He gave her mercy.
Okay, so my mom told me a story about my grandma, and she was in Christianity, you know, prophetess in Christianity and all that stuff. So told me a story about how grandma had faith, and that she was that the Spirit told her to go to someplace to meet with some lady. All right, and Granddad didn't have no money. Granddad didn't have no money. Grandma told Granddad, this my mom told me the story now, this eyewitness story, said Grandma told Granddad that she's gonna go. And my grandfather told her, I don't have the money to send you. Because it was a place that was so far away that she didn't have to have a bus ticket. My mom told me that Granny packed her stuff, walked to the bus station, no money. Found a bag on the ground that had money in it. Wow. And said that was the provision for her to go. But then I read in the Torah.
Wow.
After I came into this truth.
Right.
But then I read to the Torah that when you find something,
Yeah.
you're not supposed to spend that. You're supposed to keep that and hold it until somebody comes for it.
That's right. That's right.
That's all I'm gonna say.
That's book. That's crazy.
But nobody there, and he did it, huh?
Won't he do it? Won't he will?
Now maybe I'm taking that out of context, and maybe that we're in a different time, and you don't know, people around you and all that stuff. So I'm not saying
No,
that
the Torah
Granny was a
still
fraud,
extends
but
that.
the Torah said
It
clearly
still extends it.
that
Yeah.
you're supposed to.
Yeah.
You're supposed to hold
Because
it.
that's a neighbor. That's a neighbor. That's a neighbor
neighbor's
commandment.
thing.
That's
So
a neighbor commandment.
It even says specifically that if you don't know whose it is, that you hold it
When they
until
come
they
for
come
it.
for it, until someone comes.
See that?
But how many times have we heard testimonies of people finding stuff and attributing it to G.O.D. blessing them?
Yeah.
I mean, I've done it.
Yeah.
I found money on the ground going into Walmart or something like that. Oh man, that's my blessing.
Mm-hmm.
That ain't what Torah said.
Yeah.
According to Torah, I'm a thief.
Won't it do it? Won't it will? Go ahead. Go ahead. I pray us out, man.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Yahuwah. All praises unto you, Father. Kota Halim, Yahuwah, for all your true provisions, Father, and all the things that you've done for us, that you're doing for us right now. Father. Thank you for this Kadash assembly, hallelujah, this Kadash convocation, Father. Thank you for this day. Thank you for for preserving us and waking us up to be able to partake in your Kadash feast, Father. This is an honor for us to be able to do this, Father, because of the time when we knew nothing of these things, Father. So, Father, thank you for that, Father. And Father, furthermore, thank you for your sacrifice, Father. Thank you for making it easier for us to serve you, Father. And Father, thank you for allowing us to realize that that's not light work that you did. You know, you did something so great, so powerful, so mighty, Father, so that we can more efficiently serve you and more efficiently be your temples, Father. And so, Father, we thank you for that, Father.
Right.
And Father, we pray that you keep us as we go to our homes, Father. Keep our minds protected from all evil, from all false doctrines, Father. Keep us safe from any hurt, harm, and danger, Father. And we just thank you for it all right now. In the Master Yahush's name we pray. Amen.
YAHUWAH Shalom to the 12 tribes and the Goyim that have attached themselves to us. We love you. Hak Samak Sukkah, Hak Samak Yom Kippur, Hak Samak Yom Torah. And we love y'all. YAHUWAH Shalom.